Welcome to OState. Danny Casey Porter here, joined by Scott McKinley after another homecoming defeat this last weekend at the hands of Arizona State. Coach, we have a lot to talk about today. First of all, the game, the pitiful press conference. So I'm going to go ahead and just start out with that. What do you think?
Yeah, well, to start off with, at least the parade was good. You know, we didn't get rained on. We didn't get rained on at the parade.
Walk around was good.
Yeah, but other than that, that was about the only positive I found from Saturday night. I mean, it just we are in an absolute free fall at the moment, and you know, I mean, we'll get right into it. Mike Gundy's press conference.
Pitiful. The whole thing is pitiful.
Yeah, you know,
embarrassing as an Oklahoma State fan.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for anybody that hadn't seen it, I'm sure it's been blown up on social media ever since. If you hadn't seen it, but basically he said that, you know, the people that are doing the griping and the complaining and all that stuff are folks that, you know, can't pay their bills and basically they're losers in life and all that kind of. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that was that you get the gist of it. You know, the first thing, I actually went back to something I have always thought about being an official. You know, if anybody knows anything about being criticized, I've got. Sure, I started 1 year before Mike Gundy became head coach at Oklahoma State. I've had a few people booing me over the years.
Well, Coach, I've been in public education. I was a public school coach at multiple sports, head coach of multiple sports for 30 years. So, I mean,
it's
criticism is something that we all have dealt with, right?
Yeah, we've all dealt with it. But one thing that I thought about is, in order to be a coach at that level or an official at a high level, 99 times out of 100, when you hear boos or people griping at you, they're wrong. Like I'll give you a prime example. A couple weeks ago, I was officiating a high school game, and I had a massive hold on a kickoff return. I mean, certified, put a stamp on it. It's a hold. Well, sure enough, that hold sprung the guy loose for a touchdown. We called it back. Every person in the stands was booing me. But you know what? I didn't bother me one iota because I knew I got it right? But let me ask. But here's my deal, though. What I've learned as an official, though, every now and then, you know, maybe they are right. I kicked that one. You know, every now and then, maybe they do have a point that my crew or myself or whatever needs to be better.
What if you kicked it an entire season? Every game you showed up, you just kicked every single game, which is what's happened to Oklahoma State in Big 12 play.
Exactly, and that would be if I mean I know he could care less in my opinion, but that would be my thought to Mike. Mike, every now and then the fans, you know what, they've got a point. Every now, you know, if you've watched this season, they've got a very valid point to be a little bit upset right now. And not to mention, because think about it, Mike, you're the highest paid coach in the Big 12. And not to bring up bad blood history, but you threatened to leave us not once, but twice to get that money. And now all of a sudden you're coming after us. Man, we've supported you through thick or thin.
Yeah, you want the money, but not the accountability to it.
Exactly. So frankly, I'm a little, you know, I feel like we've
is as fired up as I've ever seen you. We've been in some battles. You've been umpiring some of my huge games, right? Oh yeah. And this is the most fired up I've ever seen you.
Yeah, that really struck a nerve today, because that's not what I wanted to hear today. I wanted to hear, okay, hey, we got a plan. We're going to get fixed, which he did touch on that. You know, he did talk about that. Hey, we've got, you know, a plan moving forward. Now, he did say that there's, you know, that may not be a short-term solution. What he can't say is, and this is just my opinion, there isn't a short-term solution. That's just straight up. I don't think.
Well, obviously they're getting worse.
Yeah, we're getting worse. I mean, the injuries are mounting up.
If there is one, they haven't found it.
Yeah, and I don't think it's coming. But no, that really struck me today, because that's another thought that I'll kind of segue into. Another thing that I've thought about today is there were signs of this problem last year. Yeah, you know, losing like we did to South Alabama at home, that was kind of a wake up call. Frankly, you know what kind of smoothed over last year was we beat OU. Yeah. You know, if you take away that OU win last year out of the equation,
which you can't,
last year looks totally different. Yeah, you can't. I mean, great. You know, we all won. You know, we're all excited about that. But that's but then we go the very next week and just get waxed at UCF. So I mean, this isn't. I think that's the concern, and I think a lot of the people I've talked to is that it's fine if this is just a 1 year aberration, and okay, we move on next year and we make the changes that are necessary. The problem is I'm starting to, and maybe I'm being impatient, but I'm starting to feel like this isn't just a 1 year deal. This is a larger trend that's happening.
It seems to me like he's feeling the pressure of everybody caving in on him that he is going to have to make changes that he doesn't want to have to make.
Yeah, I mean, we talk many times on here that Mike Gundy does not like to make changes, and I think he's
rightfully
probably
so. That's good of him. That's a good human element to him.
Yeah, as a general principle,
this
that's
is a competitive world, though, man. You either produce or you get the hell out of here. It's one or the other. You get paid a lot to produce, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and again, if I think my deal is we don't have anything that's producing right now. Nothing is producing. Our offense is terrible.
You want to know what's producing are your fans.
Yeah.
I mean, 80,000 people showing up for walk around. It's absolutely packed for, before the game starts. The one element of this that is producing is what Mike Gundy just tried to tear down today in the press conference.
Yeah, it was the first year we sold out before the season. I mean, the crowd, I was there, Saturday night, as you were too. The crowd was phenomenal. Now, obviously, the rain delay, I mean, that's to be expected. There's nothing anybody's going to be able to do about that.
Which you and I both were there till the last drop.
Yep. And that's and I guess that's why that comment really bugged me today, because it just that one. No, Mike, I think on this particular occasion, the fans have got something to say, and frankly, I think they're right in the moment. So,
and frankly, Oklahoma State would be better if you listened to them.
Yes, yeah,
and took action.
But like I said, it's the same thing. I go back to officiating. 99 times out of 100, Mike, you're right. Don't listen to Twitter. Don't listen to fans. Don't turn on sports talk radio. But you know what? Every now and then, yeah, they got a point. And today, I think our fans have every right to be frustrated right now.
So one thing that makes Oklahoma State, especially their fans, some of the best in the world, is that we're not as transactional. Now, we are very transactional as fans. I mean, we want production, or we want, or we want people gone to a certain extent, but not like an OU or any of those other places that are just absolutely mad about that kind of stuff. We are very loyal to our coaches, man. I mean, we will stick with Mike Boynton. We will stick with Frank Anderson. We will stick with whatever Mike Gundy feels like is correct for the football program over a certain extent of time, longer than most programs that pay a coach $7 million would, right? And so I think what really kind of struck me about it was the fact that he actually has it exactly backwards. He's talking to a fan base that is way less transactional than they should be for the amount of money that he has demanded this school pay him.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. One of the first questions that I get asked is that, well, if you get rid of Gundy, who are you going to get? Well, here's the deal, guys. Mike Gundy's making top 15 money nationally. If you give me $7-8 million a year, there's a lot of coaches I can go get for the type of money that we're paying him. Now, do I think that needs to happen?
Well, and then give them a rollover to where it just automatically rolls over, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, who else has that kind of deal? That's another. That's a. I would
you
say
want the answer to that? I would have to think it's nobody.
Yeah, I'm guessing nobody's got that deal. And that's the other thing that I think, and this is I'm about to speak on a business thing, but I'm also going to speak from a fan as well, because I'm not as old school OSU as some folks,
sure.
But my dad is extremely old school OSU, and one of the things that he's talked about is for years we were the prototypical stepping stone that they get good here, well then they're going to leave. Okay, but here's my deal, guys. At least they got good, and then they left. The problem, what I'm seeing, and this is a trend because we've done this a lot in basketball. We have just a little bit of success, and then all of a sudden we get ourselves in these contracts that are not favorable for the university,
right?
And you can't. And if something goes south, you can't get out of it. I think that's my deal. From a business standpoint, we got to quit doing that. Look, I understand Mike Gundy has had success.
Does that start right now with Mike Gundy's contract? Do we need to reclaim some of the structure of that as a university?
Yes, and obviously I haven't read the contract, so I don't know. If I may be saying something that cannot happen. From a contract standpoint, first thing I do is the automatic rollover. That needs to stop. I'm sorry, nobody else gets that sweetheart of a deal. That needs to go away. Again,
what's wrong with accountability?
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's the part that I just don't.
That's the other part of this that irks me is that, hey, what this is called is accountability. Mike gets up there and talks about accountability and culture and all of this and all of that. What's happening to him is he's getting held accountable. And then the second, so he wants everybody else, he wants to be able to hold everybody else accountable. He's trying to hold the fans accountable for their bitching and moaning, but yet he doesn't want the fans to hold him accountable. I mean, I understand the point he made that we've been pretty good over the last 20 years. He's not wrong, okay? But we're right around 500 in the last 3 years. 3 years in today's day and age and climate in college football is a long time.
Yeah.
It's longer than a lot of coaches get to turn things around. I mean, our defensive coordinator's a year and a half in, and people already want him fired, right?
Yeah. I mean that's the nature of college football. No, accountability is a great word for people to use until it's you that's being held accountable.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's where this kind of to me is like, man.
Yeah. I'm not falling on that one. Now
there's no practice what you preach to it.
Exactly. Now the good thing that I heard today is he's right about eventually you got to put your trust in somebody and believe. He did say something about that. Look, they know what's going on. They have a plan for how to right this ship. Don't know what that means. Does that mean that nobody gets fired? Does that mean everybody gets fired? This has been going on for 2 or 3 years. I think that's the deal. There's been signs of this for the last couple of years. We just frankly, we're able to kind of pull a rabbit out of a hat and kind of cover it up with a couple of key wins in certain places. So, I mean, to me, that's we got to make changes. I mean, and the other thing is, I know, some people are going to point to the NIL thing. Guys, I'm going to be flat out honest. When we were going up against Texas, I got it. When we were going up against OU, I got it. I know the numbers. I've seen the resources that those teams have. Guys, we're getting our butts kicked by Baylor. We're getting slaughtered by Arizona State on homecoming at home. I mean,
we're not competitive. It was 42-14. Mike, I'm not even asking you to win the game. I'm asking you to allow me to be entertained until the last zero, to where we're throwing like in what was it, 2000 when we threw the ball in the end zone to Marcellus Rivers against OU. Derek Strait knocked it down, right? Yep. Like, I left so mad. I was so damn mad about losing that game. But I was entertained. I wasn't mad at like any player. I wasn't mad at Pat Jones. I was just mad that we couldn't win the damn game, right? I mean,
I remember that. I was in that corner of the end zone when that happened. I remember that. Yeah, that was.
Still love Marcellus Rivers. I still love Pat Jones. I love also Pogai. I have there's no anger whatsoever towards it. It's just. Oh man, that sucks, right?
Yeah,
this is different.
Like I said, you and I have been around athletics long enough. That's just athletics. That's just the way. That's the way this thing goes. But the product I've been seeing by OSU, this is just, guys. This is, what are we doing?
That's the problem.
And like I said, I feel like that there's, and maybe he'll prove me wrong, that there's massive changes coming, but. I could see Mike Gundy digging in his heels and say, nope, these are the guys I'm riding with, and we got a plan and we're going to execute, and you're just going to have to trust me. I could see that happening too.
Well, you know a whole lot about football, Scott. I'll say that point blank. What changes have you seen in the midseason here?
Well, obviously, we
still not willing to turn the ball over to Malalake Smith, not willing to run your younger guys or your transfer portal guys, not changing scheme. I mean, nothing looks different on offense. Still playing man defense on the back, still playing a 40 front, still getting beat by the exact same concepts we've been getting beat by all year, right? So changes, but what changes? I mean, what changes have we seen, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, and I think part of this, and it may be naivete on our coaching staff, but I think part of it is they have believed that we were just a couple plays away from winning.
I believe that too, honestly.
Yeah,
that would be naivete on my part too.
Yeah. I mean, and we both talked about that. I mean, at least, well, look at the BYU game. BYU game, we're 10 seconds away from winning. So okay, we weren't that far away, but I think as the season has progressed, we've gotten further and further away from being at just, okay, maybe we're a play or two away. Now we're going to have to really start pulling a rabbit out of a hat to get a victory. But other than that, I mean, I've seen a little bit more creativity in some of the things we're doing on offense, but somebody's going to say that means I think that Casey has done a great job this year. No, he has not.
So how do you get on the podium every week and bitch about not being able to run the ball? Which, yes, Mike Gundy, that's what you're doing when you're talking about, we can't run the ball every single week. You're bitching, just like the fans are that you're saying can't pay their bills. Okay, that's you bitching about this team not being able to run the ball. And then you get asked the question, is there any reason why Alan Bowman didn't run? I mean, we've seen how the quarterback running the ball a little bit helps the run game. And then the answer is, we just didn't see how it's advantageous for this offense. And then you look at the way that the offense handled itself, and it's like, what? I mean, it can't get any – I mean, I guess it can get worse than the way the offense played on Saturday, but Not really in the second half. I mean, the second half was brutal.
Yeah, I mean, I think
so.
that's
Explain to me why Alan Bowman can't run the ball after we've already seen it helps this offense run it. I mean, right? I mean,
I don't know why. I wish I had the answer to it because I just don't understand. I mean, I get Bowman is he's not a Spencer Sanders running the ball. He's not a Garrett Rangel running the ball. I get that, but just having him back there, being able to be a threat to pull it and run, that makes the defense have to respect something else out of the backfield. But here's the other thing, and we've said this multiple times: if you're not going to run Bowman, you have got to have another threat coming out of the backfield.
Yeah.
Line Brian Presley back up there.
A wildcat package, a quarterback that can run the ball. But then you won't put the quarterback in that can run the ball. Then you won't put a wildcat package in. Now you're telling me it's not advantageous to run Alan Bowman. Then you're bitching about not being able to run the ball. I mean, and then you're bitching at me because I'm trying to figure out how all this works together, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, because think about it like this.
Man.
And Gundy was correct when he said that Bowman didn't throw the ball very well. We haven't thrown the ball very well. Okay, I agree with that. But here's the other thing from a running standpoint, like we just said, if all you've got back there is Ollie Gordon, anytime I see the quarterback do this, guess what?
Yeah,
I know where the ball's going. You know, there's no, you might be able to do a little bit of play action every now and then, but otherwise, the defense can key on Ollie, which is what they're doing. I mean, it's just maddening that we don't make changes. So one question I think you asked last week is, okay, what do we do for the rest of the season? Basically, the way I think I'm ready to pull the plug, if you will,
of course,
and say that this season is done. Play Smith. Play Fields.
Well, if you lose this week, it is because this is bowl eligibility. You still have a chance to win 3 games.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'll say this: even if we were to pull off a win at TCU, I don't see us winning in Boulder on a Friday night.
Hell no, not this incarnation of the team.
That's what I'm saying. Like
they may get worlds better in the next 2 weeks, but that's what it would take.
Yeah, I mean, so in my opinion, at this point, this season's done. Let's play the young guys. Let's get experience.
It's done from a wins and loss perspective.
Right.
There's still a lot to get out of it, though.
Right.
If you play your cards right, is what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, I'm saying let's focus on progress, not the scoreboard at this point. It doesn't. It's done. So let's if there's guys that need playing time, that need reps, let's do it. You know.
Amazing you said that because you know what you're talking about. You're talking about the process over results. Something that Mike Gundy went on and on and on about after my 5th year, I had to learn about, it's more about the process than it is results because you don't always win. And then all of a sudden, we're still playing a 7th-year senior at quarterback. We're still playing all of our older offensive linemen. So we're doing nothing that actually backs up what you're saying about you coaching to the process. As a matter of fact, every decision he's made has actually gone towards trying to gain a short-term result by continuing to play all of your older guys. So what he's saying in the press conference about the process and what he's actually doing from a decision-making perspective are exactly opposite of each other. So one of them is a lie or both of them's a lie, one of the two.
Well, and the other thing is, if you pick your process and you consistently aren't getting the results that you are wanting, you got to go back and look at your process. Maybe you're not doing things the right way. That's just, and that's true in everything in life. So I guess that's the part that and again, we went back. Okay, if you did some self-reflection like that, and you looked at, well, maybe our process isn't right, we would see some changes. I haven't seen anything. And I think it's just maddening. What's that definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. This season's insane, man.
Okay, Scott, let's say that I'm the head coach, you're the assistant, okay? And I walk in, okay, boys, this season's gone to shit, okay? It is what it is, okay? We're big boys. We can handle it. It happens sometimes. We're going to take on a lot of criticism because we're at a university that now cares about football, and that's what happens when you have a fan base that's very invested. They're going to be pissed when we don't win. That's a good thing, guys. Now, fans don't handle it right. Don't get me wrong. They talk shit in a way that they probably shouldn't. But the fact that they are this upset is a good thing. Okay, so I say to you guys, or I say to you, Scott, I say, hey, so from this point on, we're not going to worry about results, okay, because the results already suck. We're going to worry about the process of making sure this program is healthy for the long term. So and I say that to you, Scott McKinley, as an assistant coach. What does that tell you? I'm telling you who to play. Who am I telling you to play?
Basically, you're saying play the freshman, play the
Damn
sophomore,
right I
play
am.
the guy that hadn't done anything.
So if he's going to make that comment about process and then put Alan Bowman out there, then I'm calling bullshit.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right on that. You hit the nail on the head on that. That's exactly right. Now, of course, me, the assistant coach, first question I'm going to ask you is, hey, coach, if you're going to make me play these young guys and we know the results are probably
I'm not firing your ass because we lost the last 3 games.
Bingo.
You're safe. I will get fired before you do is what I will say.
Right.
And I'm going to go out and tell everybody what we're doing. Matter of fact, the only way I can keep your job right now, Scott, if I'm talking to Brian Nardo, to be honest with you, Coach, the only way I can keep your job is if I go process-oriented, because I can explain to people that we're playing younger people, and this is why we're not winning, right?
Yeah.
And so that might actually be the one thing that can keep your job at this point.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Yeah, because if you continue to throw out the same guys, and I looked this morning, and I'm assuming these stats have been updated, there's only 2 teams in all of FBS that have given up over 500 yards a game, and it's Kent State and Oklahoma State. That
would be quite the pillow fight if they played each other.
yeah. The Flashes and the Cowboys. That'd be a heck of a matchup.
I could. I like Coach Nardo. I just think it's a bad situation for him. I think he's being asked to run a defense that he wasn't brought in to run. I mean, it's like you come in and you're this kind of guy, and then you're asked to run an entirely different defense, and you're going to know the shell structure of how to put. You're going to know that in a 40 front you have a 1 tech or a shade, and then a 3 tech. You're going to know that, right? You're going to know against a tight end you're going to run a 7 tech. I mean, you're going to know all of those kinds of overall shell parts of it. But are you really going to understand that? Hey, in a 40 front setting, your defensive linemen have to actually get off of blocks and make plays because you have less layering on the linebacker level because you only have 2 instead of 3, right? Or because maybe on the back end, now that you're in man, instead of maybe a 3 high shell like you were a lot of times last year, you don't have that middle safety running down plays like we saw Kendall Daniels and Trey Rucker do all last year. Now, I mean, do you actually understand the intricacies of the differences of how that affects you in a negative way? Those are all the things. It's like, yeah, I know a foreign language, but it's my second language, so I have to equate it to my first language to understand the word that I'm saying. Does it make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Here's another kind of a thought to go along with this. So I watched Coach Rainwater's show a little while ago, and one of the things he talked to, and I love Robert.
He's good, isn't he?
Yeah. I love that guy.
He's amazing.
But no, one of the things that he said that it kind of struck a chord with me, and I kind of expanded upon the thought is, at Oklahoma State, we're used to bad defense. But yet our offense would be fantastic. But one of the things that having a good, we all know the old saying, defense wins championships, which I don't ascribe to, because if you see a team that wins a championship, you got to be good at both. But the one thing that having a good offense will do for you is you're never out of a game. Yep. You know what I mean? Because here's another thing I thought about is when did we start seeing this inconsistent play start happening? It started after that 20. Now we had an amazing defense in 2021. Don't get me wrong. That defense was just phenomenal. But the thing is, we switched to, okay, now we're going to be defensive mindset. Okay, but our offense has just absolutely regressed.
Yes.
To me, I still think, look, guys, let's go back to what has worked at Oklahoma State is we got a high flying offense. That's going to sell tickets. Let's be honest. The offense sells tickets. Let's get back to that. We're going to have to shore some things up on the defense. Just play incredible defense with an incredible, I'd say a decent defense with an incredible offense. That formula has worked and has kept us in a whole lot of games over the years. But at the same time, I don't know. That was just one thought that I had on there. But no, I still believe that there's going to be changes at the end of the season. I just don't know what they are yet. But I think, to your point, and I think you hit the nail on the head, I think what is happening is that press conference day, I'm taking this full circle now, is Gundy is getting frustrated because he knows he's going to have to make changes this year, and he doesn't like to do that, but he knows it's coming.
Doesn't like to be told what to do, certainly.
Yeah. Well, he's not used to it. I mean, he's had pretty much free reign around here for a very, very long time. That, okay, we just trust you, Mike. You tell us what we need to do, and we'll do it. And I think there's,
and we'll go right back to that as soon as you start not going 0-6 in conference play.
Exactly.
It won't take much for me to be right back into the, oh, come on, guys. Gundy knows better about this more than anybody. It wouldn't take much for me to get back into that mode, right?
Yeah. I'd like to get back into that mode.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really think that's really what it comes down to and Mike does his best to not, he doesn't want to show emotion at all, but I can't believe that he's in a good place right now. He's got to be pulling his hair out in private,
I think those comments were pretty telling. Yeah.
For him, that was pretty. Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but no, I think moving forward, TCU is a decent team this week. There's nothing special. There's nothing great about them, but we've taken even good teams down to Fort Worth, and for whatever reason we struggle to win there. Let me ask you this question point blank. Who takes the first snap for Oklahoma State this weekend? Smith or
quarterback?
Bowman? Yeah.
Oh, there's about a 90% chance it's Alan Bowman.
I think you're probably right. Yeah. Even though I'd like to see Smith.
I think there's a chance that Malaleake Smith might get to play some. I think there's a good chance that Alan Bowman doesn't take 100% of the snaps, but I think it's very, very favorable that he will be the starter. Yeah. And if he plays well or if the game's close, then he'll stay in.
Yeah. See, my thought is give him a couple. Give Smith a couple series, see what he looks like. But
you're not going to get disagreement from any Oklahoma State fan on that. Literally, my Dodgers dogs over here, they're ready for Daddy to take them for a walk. But you're the only people that are going to disagree with you are the ones that are actually making the decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the sad part of the whole thing. Yeah, because I think us fans that can't pay our bills and all that kind of stuff. We're we don't know.
Hey, there you go, Vivian. You can see Vivian and Barn. They just got into the show right there. So, hey, Coach, I think that's going to do it for today. So, hey, thanks for joining. Any final thoughts?
No, just I'm still going to be wearing orange on Saturday, hoping for a victory like we all are.